Have you ever thought about what makes a lesson unforgettable? Not the lessons in books, not the lessons for exams, but the lessons that stay with us for life. Today, I will tell you a story about a teacher, his last lesson, and why his students never forgot it. It was a warm summer morning in a small town. The final day of school had arrived for class 12. The air was full of excitement and noise. Students were laughing, writing farewell notes on each other's shirts, clicking photos and talking about their plans for the future. Some wanted to become doctors, some engineers, some dreamed of going abroad. The classroom was full of energy, but beneath the joy, there was also a little sadness. Why sadness? Because this was not just their last day at school. It was also the last day of their teacher, Mr. David, who was retiring after teaching for more than 40 years. For many, he had been more than a teacher. He had been like a guide, a friend, even a father figure. His kind eyes, gentle smile, and calm voice were things every student knew well. Mr. David had taught in the same school since he was a young man. Generations of students had passed through his hands. Some of them were now successful doctors, lawyers, artists, and leaders. Many of them still visited him, bringing gifts, inviting him to weddings, and thanking him for shaping their lives. But for class 12, this day was special because they were going to witness his final lesson. The bell rang and the students quickly took their seats. A hush fell over the classroom. A moment later, Mr. David walked slowly in. His hair was silver gray, his steps a little slower than before, but his presence was still strong. He carried his old leather bag, the same one he had used for decades. He placed it gently on the desk and looked at his students. His eyes were soft, almost shining with emotion. "My dear students," he began in a gentle voice, "today is a special day. For you, it is the last day of school. For me, it is the last day of teaching. I have spent my life in this classroom, and today, before I leave, I want to give you one last lesson. A lesson I hope you will carry with you, not just in your mind, but in your heart." The students leaned forward. Some of them had tears in their eyes already. They knew this was going to be different. Mr. David slowly took out a large empty glass jar from his bag. The students looked at each other surprised. A jar? This was not what they expected. Then he brought out a bag of large stones. One by one, he placed the stones inside the jar until it was filled to the top. He looked at the class and asked, "Is the jar full?" The students replied, "Yes, sir." He nodded, but then he pulled out a bag of small pebbles. He poured them into the jar, shaking it gently. The pebbles slid into the empty spaces between the large stones. Smiling, he asked again, "Now is the jar full?" The students laughed and said, "Yes, sir, now it is full." But Mr. David was not done. He opened another bag, this time filled with sand. He poured the sand slowly into the jar. The sand flowed into every tiny gap and space. Again, he asked, "Now is it full?" The class laughed louder. "Yes, sir. Now it is really full." But Mr. David's eyes sparkled. He reached under the table and took out a small cup of tea. Without a word, he poured the tea into the jar. The tea slipped through the sand and filled even the smallest spaces. The class burst into laughter and clapped. Then one brave student raised his hand. "Sir, what does all this mean?" Mr. David's smile widened. He pointed at the jar and spoke softly but firmly. "This jar is your life. The big stones are the most important things. Your family, your health, your character, your dreams. If you lose everything else but keep these, your life will still be full. The pebbles are the other things. Your job, your car, your money, your house. They are important too, but they are not the foundation. And the sand represents the small things, worries, arguments, little problems that don't matter much. He paused, letting the words sink in. If you fill your jar with sand first, if you spend your life only on the small, meaningless things, then there will be no space for the big stones. You will lose what truly matters. The room fell silent. The students looked at the jar, then at each other. Many of them were already thinking about their own lives, their families, their dreams. Then another student, curious, asked, "And what about the tea, sir?" Mr. David chuckled. "Ah, the tea. That is the sweetest part of the lesson. It means that no matter how busy life becomes, no matter how many stones, pebbles, and sand fill your jar, there is always space for a cup of tea with a friend. Never forget to enjoy the small moments. Never forget to spend time with people you love." The students smiled and some wiped their eyes. The message was simple, yet so powerful. Mr. David's voice grew softer, but it carried great weight. "My dear children, the world outside will not be easy. It will test you. It will tempt you to choose money over family, pride over kindness, and success over peace. Many people run after things that look big but are actually small. They fill their jar with sand and pebbles, and in the end, they have no room for love, kindness, or health. But you must be wiser. Put the big stones first. Protect your family. Take care of your health. Live with honesty. Chase your dreams. These are the things that will truly matter at the end of your life." His eyes glistened with tears as he added, "Remember, people will not remember your grades or the size of your house or how much money you made. They will remember how you treated them, how you made them feel, and what kind of person you were. That is the true measure of success." He gently placed the jar back on his desk. "This jar will stay in this classroom after I leave. Whenever you forget what matters, think of this jar. Think of your own life, and ask yourself, am I filling it with the right things?" The bell rang, signaling the end of the last class, but for a moment, no one moved. The students sat in silence, their hearts heavy with emotion. Then one by one, they stood up and clapped. Some rushed forward to hug him. Some cried openly. They were not just saying goodbye to their teacher. They were saying goodbye to a man who had given them wisdom for life. Years passed. Those students grew older. They became doctors, engineers, artists, business people, and parents. Life tested them with challenges, struggles, and choices. But whenever they felt lost, they remembered that jar. They remembered the stones, the sand, the tea. They remembered Mr. David's words, "Put the big stones first." And that was why his last lesson was never forgotten. My friend, this story is not only about Mr. David and his class. It is about you and me. Every day we choose what to put into our jar of life. Some people fill it with arguments, jealousy, worries, and endless small things. And in the end, they find themselves empty. But the wise ones make space for what really matters: family, kindness, health, dreams, and love. So ask yourself today, what is in your jar? Are you making space for the big stones, or are you wasting your time with sand? Remember, life is short. Fill it wisely. And never forget to leave space for a cup of tea with a friend. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs this reminder. And for more simple, powerful stories with life lessons, don't forget to subscribe to Life Lessons Library. Because sometimes one lesson can change your whole life.